Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Faith Positive Nation, I am the product of family businesses. My grandfather was a business person, and so I watched he and my grandmother, they were agricultural business people, right? Tobacco farmers in eastern North Carolina, since that wasn't enough to do, milked about 100 head of cattle every day, twice a day, right? And then since they got bored occasionally in the off season, they ran a country store. So they were entrepreneur retailers. And so I grew up thinking everybody's family did this. I wasn't exactly sure why my mom and dad didn't have a family business. And then I started my own business. And so my daughters started talking to me about what does it mean to be in business and things like that. So in our own coaching here in Faith Positive Nation, I actually, as a part of our coach community, have a sweet spot for family businesses because there's just something special about a family business. Sometimes that's positive, sometimes not so much. There's some unique challenges in anytime you start a business in that your own personality strengths become strong in the business and your weaknesses become weak. But in family businesses, it seems like those things are magnified. Of course, the national statistics indicate that within 10 years, about 90% of all businesses fail. The magic number, the charm generation for family-owned businesses is usually about the third generation. You know, you'll either see things really taking root and moving forward, or you'll see the wheels running off. Today's guest can help you build your dynasty and is the product herself of family business. So she knows the wows and she knows the woes, and she's here to help you live in the wows and avoid those woes. So Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome to Faith Positive Radio podcast today, Molly Grubb. Molly, welcome to Faith Positive Radio.
Thank you, Dr. Joey. I'm absolutely excited to be on your podcast, and I think we both can collectively add a tremendous amount of value to your Faith Positive Nation today.
Absolutely. We're here. We're all about positive value. So you are the product of a family business. Tell us about it.
On the run of 6 kids. So I saw the product of all the failures and all the success, what happened right and what happened wrong, and all the politics that go into a family business as well. You know, I was personally fired twice from my family business for, reasons that you do when you're, 16, 18 years old, and probably deserved every bit of that.
You needed to be fired, didn't you?
Probably needed to be fired. But, you take all of those experiences, and, what a better way than to really build a family business with the people that you love and trusted. And that's exactly what my family did. I mean, that was what brought food to the table, and we grew up with nothing. I mean, but we just made things happen collectively as 6 kids. When my sister was so sick, we just pulled together as a family unit to make sure there was enough on the table. And sometimes there weren't. Sometimes we would have to, during the winters, sell our camper or maybe go over to our grandparents to just make sure we had enough food on the table. We never went out without with food, but there were, the summers that we had to plant our own garden just to make sure there would be enough food for the winter. I know what it's like to put it all out there and it still not be enough.
Wow. So what type of business was your family in, Molly?
Well, my family was in construction. My dad was one of the finest artisans out there as a mason. And then my 2 brothers and my dad, once they graduated college, went to open up a building company. And they took it from nothing, made it a multi-million-dollar business. But, when they went to sell it, they worked with the people they knew versus the experts they needed. And they treated it like a transaction rather than a process. And they lost everything. I mean, my parents lost their farm. They lost their RV. They had to file bankruptcy. I mean, I remember my mom, who was ailing, her health was just failing at the time. She was there in the narrow hallway of our business. It was a yellow hallway. She was, embracing her walker because she couldn't run without herself or walk without herself. And she went sprinting without that sucker all the way to the buyer and saying, "You're a liar. You're a thief." Because he took everything from them. They're asking, well, how did this actually happen? How can I lose everything? Well,
Yeah.
they did all, most family businesses, what made you so successful is the fact that you trusted everybody. You hired your family, you hired your friends.
Mhm.
And so you were just accustomed to the benefits of that. But there's also the opposite of that, people that can take advantage of your position,
Yes.
and they just, everything was verbalized, nothing was written down. And the person they were working with, they didn't do the due diligence for to understand that wasn't the right fit and they were not going to be treated in an honest manner. And as a result, they ended up taking all the business loans. They were not negotiated and they took it on themselves personally. And that's ultimately what severed the wealth that they built up in their business.
Sure. That's why they lost the family farm and the RV and everything else, right? As they took it on as personal business. So you had firsthand experience and learned how not to build a dynasty and to sell it well. So what were some of the lessons that you learned?
Well, that you absolutely have to have that process in place. You absolutely have to do due diligence more on your buyer than anything else. And don't wait till the last 6 months to figure out, oh, I need to actually have a process for this. It needs to be something that's done 3 to 5 years prior. And if you can get in even before that. And sometimes you don't have to be old and gray and have a cane next to you to make sure that you sell. We sold 70% of our firm last year, just to make sure we could focus on family business owners. So sometimes it just may mean taking some chips off the table, because 80% of all business owners have 90% of their wealth tied up in their business. So that's one angle that we like to really focus on, is how do you free up that wealth? Because my parents had all of their stuff in one stock. Now, you wouldn't take that from a financial advisor, so why do you do it yourself, right?
Yeah, and we not only put it in there, we double down, triple down on it, right? Because we believe in ourselves and we know that at the end of the day, our hard work will work. But then the due diligence and things like that come into play.
Yeah.
So what was the faith journey like in this family as you grew up, Molly?
It was kind of a journey that, in case you may have been atheist beforehand, there's absolutely no question that there is a God. So I was, to really explain why a dynasty is so important.
Yes.
I'm the youngest, like I said earlier, of 6 kids. And when my sister was diagnosed with a rare blood disorder, she was 2 years old at the time. And I was just being born, really a miracle baby at the time, because I wasn't supposed to be born. And my mom, she just had the faith of a mountain. God says you have to have a faith of a mustard seed that can move a mountain. Well,
that's right.
My mom, she had a faith of a mountain, so she could move mountains.
She could move a mountain range, right?
Yeah, it was just incredible. But so I was supposed to have open heart surgery and everything.
Wow.
It was,
As
she
a
just
newborn?
prayed all those vessels back into place, because they were all scrambled up. It was just truly a miracle. But it was because of that, my sister Mandy got to look at, she learned to walk and talk because of me, because she had motivation now at the time. And there came a day where they said, there's nothing more we can do for Mandy. And here, my family's doubling down their business just to pour all the resources into getting her better.
Sure.
But nothing was working. Here I am sitting in that doctor's office at the young age of 4, being told my sister's not going to make it. I didn't even know what those words even meant.
That's hard to hear at any age, much less as a 4-year-old.
Right. And my mom, just being her own self, just handed it over to God. And the night that she took her to church, over 1,000 people prayed for her.
Wow.
And the next time they took her to the doctor, what the doctor said, she didn't need any more blood transfusions. She didn't need any more treatments. She had been completely healed.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Praise God.
But, sometimes when you have a miracle, you need another one.
Yeah.
You see the 4 years of investing in my sister's health combined with my the insurance defaulting on my family.
Yeah.
We were going to lose everything. 6 of his kids are going to be split up. Our house is going to be taken away.
Mm.
And
Molly.
so local news channel picked up our story.
Mm-hmm.
And the night that it aired, a local business owner named Bill was so touched by it that he went to the sheriff auction and bought that house back for us. He then drove in a brand new blue minivan stuffed with 3 Mickey Mouses and 3 Minnie Mouses, handed the keys to my dad, said, "We're going to Disney World in his private jet."
What?
That is why.
Who does that? Who does that?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So
Oh,
sometimes God gives us the ability to pray in miracles. Sometimes he gives us the ability to give miracles. And I want to be able to, our mission is to be able to empower business owners, family business owners, to not only protect their family from, the situation that my family was in, but also to empower them to be able to do things like Bill. Because we're really extraordinary, right? The fact that I'm able to even talk to you is a miracle.
Oh, it's a total miracle.
Why are we living our life in a way that, every day is just a number and we're just getting by and we're okay with what we have? But we look around and open our eyes and nothing about this world, nothing about nature or God or anything is ordinary. Everything is extraordinary. So when I say dynasty, that's a big number. That's something bigger than us.
Right.
Because what God has given us is bigger than us. And that's what you should really try to have a goal in life. It's to be bigger than you because God will give it to you. Because God gave it to us.
Oh, wow. Man, yes, he did. And so Mandy today, tell us about Mandy today.
Well, the reason why this story is so hard to say is because September 4th, Mandy was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. And she's gone through 2 rounds of leukemia, and she starts her second, it did not go well. And so she's starting a clinical trial tomorrow, just right before Thanksgiving. So we're just, we just need all the prayers we can get to make sure she gets through, because she was supposed to graduate or have kids, and she has 2 beautiful little girls, 5 and 2.
Oh,
and
wow.
so, it just would be so special that, God allows lightning to strike twice, and he performs another miracle.
Faith Positive Nation, I'm sure you join me in praying for Mandy wherever you are and whatever you're doing. As you listen to this podcast or you watch this video cast, we encourage you to pray for Mandy, Molly's sister, and we will praise God in advance for however he chooses to heal Mandy, and pray for those 2 precious little girls as well. That's beautiful. So you've experienced the power of God in some mighty incredible ways. How do you pass on the lessons you learned to families who are wanting to build a dynasty through their business?
Well, we do it in a multitude of different ways, and it's kind of part of the online education program that we're also building. So we have, of course, the one-on-one consulting that we do, but we really want to be able to really spread that message out to as many people as we can. Because, see, on September 4th, 12 hours later, my mom went into septic shock due to necrotizing fasciitis, and she earned her angel wings 3.5 weeks later. And when I look at her life, it just inspired me to create this program, because what she left was a spiritual dynasty. And she had faith that, no one could have it. She prayed like there wasn't a God, because she that was just who she was as an individual, and her passion was incredible. And many of you business owners, that's why you get into business, is because you want to share this love that you have for whatever it is. My mom so happened to be her children, and to make sure that all of us went to heaven. Yes. And but she never really took care of her health. And it just continued to haunt her. And she also had a mindset of fear. If you never knew Mom, you would have thought she never believed in God, because she just was in a state of fear all the time. But if you just put a corn seed in the ground, how many corn seeds pop out? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of corn seeds. You really live in a state of abundance.
Yes.
Just having that mindset
Mm-hmm.
so that then you can have your reach, which is all what wealth really is your ability to spread your message and have an influence in your family's life and in your community or in the world, no matter what your spectrum is. Our spectrum is we want the world to hear this message, to be able to build the 4 pillars of their dynasty, because you can't have one without having all 4. And the more you have all 4 of them built, the more of an impact you can make with your mindset, your health, spirit, and then of course wealth, which equals all of that.
Now, are those the 4 pillars that you're talking about?
Absolutely.
All right. Unpack each of those for us, please, Molly.
Sure. Well, kind of a little bit in what I just stated there. So,
Sure.
Of course, wealth is, where we spend most of our time with our clients.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at ways where we can free up the wealth within your business. And that's really kind of the book that we have coming out on Build Your Dynasty, ways that, it's going to change our clients' lives. It's going to change the world's lives and the readers' lives, because it's going to help them figure out ways they can free up the wealth within their business, maximize their exit, run faster with their business, and create more time. So we kind of go
more
on.
time.
Yes, so
We're
that's
all
kind of
that.
right. Well, we do have a gift for the audience at Grubb Wealth. That's GRU Bravo Wealth.com /faith. And on there, you can just submit your email, and we'll send you a time hack checklist on ways that you can even run faster. So one of the things that we like to teach is really just how to build out systems. How can you, create a business that's going to allow you to be independent, not an employee of your business, because that is one of the major challenges that owners face. Is how can I be more independent from the company and not an employee? Now you may feel like, nobody can do it better than me. Oh, well, it's faster for me just to do it this way. I promise you, the one mission that I subscribe to, that all of our staff subscribes to, is every day they come in and figure out a way that they can replace themselves. You might be thinking, why would I want my employees to figure out a way they can replace themselves? Well, you only want them to be working on highlighted items. So,
right.
For example, do you have if you're someone that's in the service-based industry or somewhere, maybe you own a dental practice or whatever it might be that you own, if you're scheduling appointments, you can't pay your staff a low enough wage on what a calendar system can, do for you. And we have we have little hacks like that on that checklist. Or maybe you are in someone that is in a one-to-one basis with a client, or have a high ticket sale that maybe your sales team can do. One of the ways that we've been able to get almost an 80% return rate for each time that we send this out is by using a software called BombBomb. We just shoot a little 1-minute video asking them to click on the calendar link above, why we're wanting to meet with them. And 80% of the time, they're clicking on that little button. And it's been a huge source of our revenue just by doing that little hack. So it's being able to do things like that, but then also kind of look at their business, how am I exiting? How can I get rid of the 60% of tax that most business owners face? How do you do that? I'm working with a client right now where we're going to eliminate essentially all of their taxes and exiting their business. And they're asking me, well, how can we do that? Well, it's there's a reason why we say 3 to 5 years prior to, because it's going to take at least 5 to 7 years for this strategy to be fully implemented and for them to be fully executed and out. And the other is just really making sure that, how just not only just from the exit strategy, but why I'm wiggling in, if you're a company and you're paying an extreme amount of tax of money and insurance, that's something that you can just keep yourself and invest the remaining capital rather than paying it to the insurance companies. But there's certain structures you have to have in place. So there's a lot of toys and tricks that we like to play with, and little hacks that your audience can use.
Oh, that's great. And so we know we have to pay taxes, but the government doesn't tell us how much we have to pay in taxes, right? So we take advantage through tech strategies how we can keep as much money out of our business as we do when we sell them. But what I also hear you saying is that it takes some preparation time. And I'm reminded of that proverb that says, without vision, the people perish. Okay, well, a family business is going to perish without some vision, right? So what you really do is help these family business owners plan that vision ahead of time so that they can implement it. Well, what if they want to, let's say that the next generation, second generation, third generation is involved in the business and they're interested in transferring that ownership of that business into the next generation, but yet so much of their assets are tied up in that business.
Of course.
I'm sure you've seen situations like that.
Yeah. So the scenario I was referring to earlier is kind of that situation. And, it's my philosophy on taxes. The IRS code was written for you to legally not pay taxes. So you're not paying taxes. What are you doing? You are building the economy.
Exactly. And I'm doing things like Bill did, right? I'm finding that family that I can help, buy their home, put them back in it, and take them to Disney World.
Right. So we all have an obligation not to pay taxes.
Yep. It's our...
Make sure you're doing it legally.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So consult your tax strategist and prepare for specific advice.
The issue with going down that little rabbit hole is, most people have a CPA, but a lot of them are just preparers.
Right.
It's very difficult to find somebody that actually is a tax advisor and giving active tax advice. And while we are not CPAs, we work along with CPAs to force that topic upon them, and then of course using tax tools.
The strategies are in place to help you keep as much of the business as you can.
Right.
Wonderful.
But to address your initial question is, Molly, I have this family business owner and they have all their assets tied up in the business. How do we get it out? And when you're working with the family, you really want to maximize what the father figure or mother figure is getting, but also minimize what the children are paying, because typically that's who has the money, is the first generation that's going out, and the next generation doesn't maybe have all those resources. And there are strategies specifically for that, but also, one thing that you also, when you click on the checklist on grubbwealth.com/faith, that checklist, once you get it, there's going to be a couple surveys that you can fill out, and based off of that, it's going to test where you are both emotionally attached to your business and what your financial gaps are. Depending on where that's at, it's going to depend on what your exit strategy is. So one of the exit strategies that we're working with a family business owner is we're doing a Popeye plan for him. And you probably never heard of what it is. It sounds as fancy as what it sounds like. You got to have fun in this industry.
Absolutely. Every day.
Yeah, but there's only one attorney that does this in the country. And that's what people pay us for, is access. Is access to things that they would normally never have access to, because really it's a family office setting for a virtual family office for the world. And so this family, what they're doing is they're redeeming shares. So let's pretend you have 100 shares in your company. We're going to redeem 90 of those shares and then sell the remaining 10 shares to the next generation. And by using a special tax code, you can essentially eliminate those 90 shares on taxes. As long as you're doing it, you got to do it over time.
5 to 7 years, right?
Yeah, that's typically. But with that, it's a three-legged stool. So you got to have time, you have to have the resources, and you have to have the trust. If you're missing one of those legs, it's not going to work.
Yeah, you're going to be sitting on the floor.
You're going to be sitting on the floor. So there's several different strategies that you can have on there. That's one that tends to kind of work with family business owners. But sometimes when you're moving to the next generation, you probably don't trust Junior as much. So maybe the Popeye is not the best plan for you.
Yeah, but there are different tools to be used in different situations.
Yes.
So many family-owned businesses have some sort of faith distinction to it, some sort of faith foundation to it, like yours. Right. When you're working with these Christian business owners who are seeking to do the right thing by their children, pay as little tax as possible, and yet provide for themselves as well, how does that faith conversation enter into the strategies that you help them come up with?
Well, it's really just making sure the mission of the family continues to transfer over to the next generation. And that's kind of where you start to make sure there's clear boundaries with the next generation that they're going to be able to adopt, because every generation kind of has their own interpretation of how mom and dad raised them and maybe things they liked. and
Mm-hmm.
didn't like.
And so
I ran
faith
into
can be a
this.
part of what they do
Absolutely.
or don't like.
I mean, I ran into this with my family. I was raised in a very strict household.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just something where my dad finally had a breakthrough because he lost his father at a very impressionable age. So he raised us in a way that we didn't live the way he thought you need to live in order to go to heaven, that all of us 6 kids, like he would not be able to go see his dad in heaven.
Oh,
And so
wow.
that was the pressure that was on him to raise us a certain way. And so he felt that we should dress and the employees should dress and act a certain way. And that created a lot of friction with my brothers. And eventually it surfaced and they were able to have a breakthrough, and it was a beautiful thing. But it's kind of working through, what are some of those transitions that need to happen and keep the relationship solid, because the one thing that you don't want to lose in a family business is the family itself.
Yes.
And that's number one.
Yeah. And that is sometimes, sadly, the casualty that comes, right?
Yeah. No amount of money is worth losing your family over.
Yeah. So well said. So in addition to these financial assets, there's the faith asset that has to be reinterpreted for the next generation in some sort of ownership, if you will, because you don't want just an inherited faith. You want to own your faith.
Absolutely.
As the next generation. And so the translation there, wow, you find yourself doing a lot of translation work, don't you?
Yes. Well, the wonderful thing about being the run of 6 is that you get to see all types of different dynamics of, different flavors, and it's okay. It is. We all have different paths that we're taking in our life. And we're all at different phases on the train station to being at our final destination. And it's okay if one of us just see things a little bit different. And maybe that is something that is, it's a gift from God, that maybe he doesn't want us to see something in a different way, or maybe he'll reveal things to different people. Like I used to, it's a personal thing for me. I don't condone drinking or anything like that. But one thing that I did when my mom passed is I stopped drinking because I felt super close to her, and I didn't want to lose that for a second. So there's just a different, I'm just in a different phase in my life. It had nothing to do with scripture or nothing to do with that. It was just, I just went through something personal that was the most beautiful pain I've ever experienced. And I just never want to lose that. So, you just have to appreciate what each individual is going through, and that God is working with us individually for a greater purpose. And none of all of us should be cut from the same cloth and go down that same road, because if not, it's not going to work out for you, and it's not going to work out for the one that you think should live that way either.
Oh, absolutely. There are a little over 7 billion of us, and last time I checked, no 2 of us are exactly alike, right? So what a testimony to the creativity of our Creator, who made us all different and certainly has enough grace and love for each of us to find our own way into living into what he calls us to do. Okay, so Faith Positive Nation, Molly Grubb always wants to know about a favorite Bible verse or Bible passage from our guest. What's yours?
Yes. So, the week that my mom passed, I mean, she could see angels. She just had a special relationship with God. And when she passed, she really gave us kind of all the gift of seeing certain things that I've never, ever seen before. Wow. And leading up to her death, there were several things that all of us kids individually were able to be a part of that was super special.
Yeah.
And as we sat there, my sister was coming in on an angel flight. She was in London for a project for school that she was wrapping up so she could get her master's. And all we were doing was just trying to get Mom to last long enough so Melody could be there. And here I am. They all cut us out of the room for a second so they could flip and work with Mom for a second. And I was sitting there in the waiting room. The scripture that popped up for the day that she passed was a perfect description of her. And I'll try to read it without bawling my little eyeballs out, but it's so sweet because it perfectly embodied her. It is 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 5. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It's not self-seeking. Is not easily angered. And it keeps no record of wrongs. And that was my mom to the T. So it's just super sweet.
I have a sense, Molly Grubb, that your mom's legacy lives on in you.
Yes, on all of us.
Bless you for that and for sharing that with us today. So somebody in Faith Positive Nation is going to want to get in touch with you. You have this incredible time hacking offer. Give that website one more time.
Sure. It's Grubb, G-R-U, Bravo, Bravo, wealth.com/faith. Again, that's grubbwealth.com/faith.
And if you're on a treadmill, walking the dog, or driving down the road listening to this, we've got it there in the episode copy on Molly's page on getpositive.today. Is there an email address there at grubbwealth.com that people can, because I know somebody in Faith Positive Nation is going to want to reach out to you.
Of course. Well, I'll do one extra special favor that I normally don't do, and I'll give you my personal email.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
It is Molly, Molly, at grubbwealth.com. Again, that's Molly at grubbwealth.com. It's G-R-U, Bravo, Bravo, wealth.com.
Oh, that's so kind of you to offer that to us. And thank you so much. Obviously, you're one of those rare individuals, Molly Grubb, who is absolutely brilliant intellectually, but spiritually in tune with what God's got going on around you. And the way in which he uses you to share great truths and yet to tug on the heartstrings of people is truly a gift that you've shared with Faith Positive Nation today through Faith Positive Radio. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the gift of your time and wisdom today. Pray God's blessings on you and on your family and all that you do. Thank you, Molly Grubb.
Thank you, Dr. Joey.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.